Welcome to today's webinar, How Purple Sleeps Better with Streamlined Document Control, CAPA, and Nonconformances, sponsored by ETQ. I'm Dirk Descharme, Editor-in-Chief for Quality Digest, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Many organizations start their quality process automation journey with document control to easily identify, control, and track all their documented processes and procedures in a centralized and secure location. Then once the first application is adding value, then a lot of organizations then expand their use of the QMS. Purple is growing rapidly in the hyper-competitive mattress market by focusing on innovation and quality with significant results. This includes a #1 rating in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power for 2 years in a row. Today, we will look at how Purple has automated quality processes. We're going to learn how, with one solution, they combine standard out-of-the-box applications with highly configured ones to meet their unique needs. And in addition, we will see the quality and business benefits Purple achieved through automated document control, CAPA, and nonconformances. We're going to look at some best practices and lessons learned in the Purple quality journey, and we'll take a look at a lot more. Before we get started, just a reminder that you can send questions to us using the Q&A box. You can find the Q&A button in the bar at the bottom of your screen. Just mouse down. You'll see that menu bar pop up. Send your questions to us as you think of them, and we will answer them at the end. A recording of this webinar will be available one day after the webinar, so keep your eyes open for an email with that information from Quality Digest. Also, very important, if you need a certificate of attendance for this webinar, you will need to answer a polling question that will be presented during the webinar. Okay, let's get started. Today's presenters are Anna Cook, Quality Systems Manager at Purple, and David Isaacson, Senior Director of Product Marketing at ETQ. Anna is an experienced Quality Systems Manager for Purple with previous experience as a quality manager for a company that manufactured and distributed aerospace parts. She enjoys helping people and finding solutions to problems that will help make people's jobs easier. She takes pride in improving processes and never settling for "this is how we've always done it" excuses. David has over 25 years experience in software product marketing and product management. David has successfully brought software as a service products to market for a variety of industries and high growth companies. He has worked for software companies such as Anaqua, VFA Accruent, and Oracle, where he led the product management team responsible for integrating analytics into the Oracle database. And David, I believe you are starting us off.
That's correct. Thank you, Dirk. I'd like to welcome everyone for joining us today on this webinar. I'm really excited to be here today with Anna Cook. I think this is going to be really fascinating, and I think everybody's going to get a lot out of today's webinar. Before we get into Purple's quality journey, I do want to give a quick introduction on ETQ and set the stage a little bit for where the applications that Anna's going to talk about actually fit within the ETQ product line. So we'll just briefly talk about that. So first, let me give you a little bit of an overview of who ETQ is. We're a company that's been around for over 29 years, focused on quality. That is our brand, that is our products, that is what we do, that's what all 200 or so employees are focused on, is delivering quality to our customers through a very broad application portfolio. We have over 40 applications, all in the cloud, that give our customers a very unique, very flexible platform for meeting their quality needs. And as it shows there, it is an award-winning application set that we brought to market. We are headquartered in Boston, but we do support customers around the globe. We have customers in over 14 different industries, manufacturing such as Purple, as well as electronics and food and beverage, life sciences, medical devices and pharmaceuticals, and so forth. So support a very broad range of customers, and we support those customers from very large organizations down to very small. So you'll see a very diverse set of customers taking advantage of ETQ's solutions, which brings a lot of value to our customers because we are able to cross-reference and use the best practices from lots of different industries and bring those to all of our customers. And what you'll hear from Anna, in fact, is it's not just ETQ that brings those best practices to the market, but customers share best practices with each other. So that's another huge value of being an ETQ customer. As I mentioned, we are focused on quality. We believe that having a very flexible solution allows you to take advantage of what makes you special, what your value props to the market are, and therefore leverage the ETQ product set to be better at doing that and to bring those quality products to market. Now, as I said, I want to give you a little bit of context about what Anna will be talking about today when we talk about document control and corrective action and so forth. And this gives you a quick overview of the ETQ Reliance product line. There are a broad range of platform capabilities that infuse technology into all of the applications that run on the platform, whether you're looking to make sure that you've got an audit trail and traceability within the product, you're able to report, you're able to integrate with third-party products and so forth. All of that's part of the core of the application. Then there are a set of quality applications through a broad set of different application sets that allow you to tailor the system to exactly what you need to do and want to do when you want to do it. So when you look at the items on the left-hand side, those core applications, what are key initial applications that most companies look at for quality? You look at document control, you look at corrective action. You start to expand when you look at things like non-conformance handling and health and safety and life sciences, but put it all together, you have a complete integrated application set that allows you to meet your quality needs. This is all in the cloud, what we call cloud native, which means you get to take advantage of the power of all of the innovation that's taking place in the cloud today, and it's supported by a very powerful analytics capability. And as I said, today we'll look at document control, corrective action, and non-conformance handling, and that's where Anna will take us through the purple journey. Document control, I think everybody understands what that is. You can store documents, you can create them, you can manage them, you can approve them, you make sure that all of your employees have access to them, or those that should have access to them get that information when they need it. We look at corrective actions. Obviously, nobody wants to have a corrective action, but when you have to do it, you need to do it right. You don't want to be audited and then say, oops, I forgot about that. So having corrective actions and being able to track them through a standard process is really critical. And that allows you not only to track any individual corrective action, but notice what trends are occurring over time. So if you start to see the same kind of result or the same types of problems showing up in multiple corrective actions, that can give you a clue as to where you need to start to focus to help improve quality. And then finally, non-conformance handling. Now, there are a number of different applications within the non-conformance arena. We're going to focus today on non-conformance reporting, but there are other capabilities there as well. And as you grow, you can take advantage of all of those. So not just from that initial non-conformance, but looking at customer feedback and any expected deviations if you want to do a temporary change in how something is made, and then even going through the return material authorization, so when you need to take back product from a customer. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Anna to take us on Purple's journey. Anna, over to you.
All right. I think you can go to the next slide. And even just the next one. Dirk went over this one earlier, so I'm okay skipping this one. I think we'll talk more about my history and when we discuss some stuff. So just a little bit about Purple that people might not know. We're a fairly new company. It all started in 1989. The founders, two brothers, Tony and Terry, wanted to make wheelchairs. They saw a need out there for high-tech carbon fiber sporting goods and wheelchairs, and then quickly realized that as they were testing those wheelchairs that the real need was in better cushioning for those wheelchairs. So that really was the start of what we call the Gel Flex Grid, which is the base of the majority of the products that Purple sells. It's made out of hyperelastic polymer, which was discovered and licensed in the 90s to 2013 in that time frame. And in 2013, they decided they wanted to make a mattress, and they invented what they call the Mattress Max machine, which from ground zero they invented to help make that the Gel Flex Grid to put into the mattresses. They did a Kickstarter and raised over $100,000 within like 5 days, and that's in 2016, and that's kind of how Purple started. To date, we are headquartered in Lehi, Utah, and we have 3 manufacturing facilities, one in Alpine, Utah, Grantsville, Utah, and then the newest one is in McDonough, Georgia, so a little bit south of Atlanta, Georgia, and that just opened up this year. We started making mattresses out of that facility. So we're rapidly growing, and it's really exciting to be a part of Purple at this time. Next slide, David. So the start of Purple and ETQ, like how do we, it was a little bit before my time. It was February. I've been at Purple, this is a little background, since September of last year. So just a little bit over a year. So from what I understand from people who were here before me, who started investigating the needs for a software like ETQ, is we needed a place to store our technical documents that show or give requirements on how to make our product, like the suppliers. So we wanted somewhere that had revision control, sign off, and all of that in a central repository. And ETQ and the document control application in particular is what sold us on having ETQ. So February of last year, we started the implementation. It kind of got sidetracked a little bit because of obviously COVID and people being furloughed. That only took like a couple months to figure out, and then we quickly got back on track and completed that initial implementation early summer of last year. So next slide, David. So today, current state of ETQ at Purple is document control is the most used application throughout all the different departments at Purple. We do manage CAPAs soon after the document control module or application was implemented. We saw how great it was and decided that we would take the out-of-the-box CAPA and just deployed it, and have been using it ever since. We haven't had to touch much of it because it's such a great application that ETQ designed that we haven't done much configuring to it. It is out of the box and we just use it and have no issues with it. So it's a really great application. So then last fall, we discovered we needed a better method of tracking nonconformances. We're getting product in from suppliers that we needed to decide what to do with it. It wasn't meeting the requirements. And so we quickly looked into the non-conforming application and decided it would fit our needs. And so I worked on customizing it, and we rolled it out January of this year and have been using it ever since. And then
Anna, could you,
yeah.
Anna, this is Jerry. Could you speak up just a little bit?
Oh yeah, sorry. Maybe my headphones, is that any better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, so then yeah, we quickly customized it and we were using the non-conformance application. And then just recently we took, engineering reached out and said they needed a place to store test records. So I took one of the blank applications and customized it. So engineering had a place to store test records. They took them off of someone's desktop who just had them, and they store them in there. And it's been working great for that also, just as kind of a repository. We can go to the next slide. So kind of the future for ETQ and Purple, end of December. Well, actually we started it this week. So slightly ahead of schedule, we implemented the training management module or application. We created course profiles for all the work instructions that we have in ETQ and the procedures, and rolled out some of those trainings just this week to people. So we can start tracking training, competency, effectiveness of training, making sure they know what they're doing. So it's been exciting to start that. It's been a long time coming and needed, and so I'm excited to start really using that training management application. Then within 6 months, we have plans to implement the change management application. We're finding a need to have a robust ECR type process, and so the change management application is going to be used. And then 6 to 9 months, we need to implement the PPAP and deviation application. So that's kind of our roadmap for 2022 and ETQ. The next slide. So a few lessons learned, things that I've learned while working at Purple and getting kind of thrown into ETQ is Academy is your best friend. When I first started last September, I went through the Academy and did all the trainings to become an admin. And of course, if you, just like anything else, if you get the training and you don't use it, you kind of lose it. You lose it. You lose the knowledge that you gained. So to be able to go back to the Academy and kind of reference those trainings, because you see something like that rings a bell. I know I saw a training on that. So to be able to go back to Academy and search and find the training to refresh your memory. And then also all the monthly webinars they put out, they're awesome. I've learned so much. I don't have a software background, and being able to find that information and then be able to do things in ETQ myself is really helpful. And then also connecting with other ETQ customers in the what they call the community is helpful. People will post questions. You just search and you'll find that people have the same questions that you have. And the ETQ users that have been around longer answer those questions, and they're really helpful. I've even had a couple that we've taken it out of the community and contacted me directly, and they've been a huge help when I've tried to customize some applications and needed a little bit of help. Also, the applications that we've started, they start out of the box, I think is a great place to start. Just the ETQ does a great job designing their applications, but they're a really great foundation for anything that you want to change. And the only things that we'd really change are some things that are unique to our business and our company. So starting out of the box is a great place to start. And I have found that it can always be changed a little bit later down the road, and it doesn't really hurt anything. If you want additional fields added, or you discover later on, maybe in this point in time, I'd want to track this information. You go and add those fields to the form, and it's okay to do that. But then always a little bit of testing and training before rollout is always helpful. But people are always going to have questions because it's new. So yeah, I think those are my big lessons learned that I've learned in the last year working at Purple and with ETQ. So I think the next slide.
Yeah, that's really very, very interesting. I appreciate that, and I'm starting to talk about that a little bit more. I want to go back. We kind of skipped over the bio slide, right, a little bit, and so can you just? I think it'd be great for everybody to understand if you could just tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit more in your journey, and how you got to be a quality professional. I think, we always focus in on product and results here, but a lot of times people also want to understand, career paths and what they might be able to accomplish on their own. And I think your story might be very interesting to others in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think no child grows up wanting to be a quality professional. They don't even know what it is, right? I actually have a degree in psychology. My bachelor's in psychology. So it was a journey. I worked at my previous employer. for 15 years. I was an aerospace company in Utah. I worked in various departments, and I had learned a lot about the company working in those various departments. They had hired a new director of quality, and he wanted a quality engineer that had worked at the company for a while and had a good knowledge of all of the systems that we used, and had good relationships with various people in the departments. And because I've worked in sales and purchasing and product management, project management in various areas, I had those relationships and the knowledge of those systems. So I was recommended by one of his employees, and he offered me a job, and I just said, well, sure, let's try it out. Let's see what's like working in quality. And so my focus was on the QMS at my previous employer and assisting with quality escapes, bad product that shipped out to our customers. So at that my director who hired me was a great mentor, and he taught me lots of quality systems stuff, sent me to various trainings to really learn about quality, ISO, all these different things. So he was integral in my learning about quality and different systems. And I think coming from that aerospace background has helped me understand regulations and what a robust QMS or business management system looks like and how it helps a company succeed. A QMS or business management system isn't put in place to hinder specific departments, but it helps to make great product that will always meet customer expectations. I think that's what people need to remember.
And are you having fun doing it now?
Yes, I do enjoy my job, and I find that quality was actually a really pretty good fit for my personality.
Oh, great.
It took me a while to figure it out, but I do enjoy my job. Yeah.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
And I know you weren't at Purple when the decision to move to a QMS was made, but could you share a little bit about what you know about why that decision was made? You know, not necessarily the decision to go to ETQ, but just in general, why, you know, a QMS was something that Purple felt was important. And then maybe even talk about some of the benefits that you guys have seen.
Yes. It all started with needing a place to store those technical documents. If they were being created and put in people's personal desktops and SharePoint folders. So they decided they needed a place to house those product definitions, to be able for everyone to easily access them. Everyone gets access to ETQ first day that they get hired. So everyone can access those documents. We needed revision control. We need to be able to archive the old versions so people weren't accidentally sending them out to suppliers. And then we needed stakeholder review and approval, so that everyone was buying off on those product definitions. So that's why ETQ was chosen for those functions. And it works great. One who uses it really has no issues with the software and likes it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And now that you've got a QMS, and it obviously, when you started this whole journey, or when Purple started this journey, quality started to become something that people thought about all of a sudden. Where does quality sit from an organizational perspective today, and its importance to Purple?
So it's important. Quality sits under operations, and quality is vital. And we're in a very competitive market. So not only is innovation important to our product, but also quality. If we don't produce a quality product, no one's going to buy our products. If we don't have consistency in that product, we're not going to have repeat customers. So part of all of that is having a good QMS to be able to have documented processes to provide that consistent quality product.
Okay. And then, I mean, you spent most of the time talking about doc control, so I want to focus there for a moment as well. Okay. In terms of, you started with out of the box and then started to do some configurations. Mm-hmm. How did you think about that? How did you go through the process of saying, okay, now that we understand what out of the box looks like, how do we want to change it?
Some of it was people's suggestions that started using it too, because as you have more users using the software, they'll come up. They all had companies they worked for before. Everyone has a background, right? So they would come at, hey, at this place I used to work, we had this, and it was really great that we could have this certain function. And so we did that. We've implemented some of those changes to our applications. Specifically for document control, we found a need. A lot of our documents that we create are really big and they won't go through email. So we configured document control and a few other things so suppliers can have access to ETQ, and it has been fantastic. We set them up, we give them their credentials to log in, and we assign the documents that they can just see, and they can go in real time, basically real time, without relying on someone else to email them the document they need and get access to anything they need to be able to build our product, see our requirements. So I think for document control, that has been one of the biggest configurations that we've done, is to allow suppliers to have access.
Oh, nice. And and those changes, did you make them? Did you have to get somebody with a programming background to make them? How did that work?
So I did the majority of them, and I have utilized remote consulting at ETQ for times that I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, so a combination of both.
A combination, yes. I have learned a lot within the last year on how to program a little bit of software, but there's still stuff that's above my head, so I utilize ETQ when I need.
Great. And then a couple other questions here that just things I want to just cover here. First of all, in terms of, document control and even moving beyond that to some of the other applications, CAPAs and so forth, what would you say to the attendees here? I know you talked a little bit about lessons learned, but what recommendations or what advice would you give for those looking to automate document control, automate corrective actions and so forth?
That you'll, to just do it. Being on paper is the worst, right? So just in this day and age, with everyone who works remotely or you need to have that technology to be able to do things so people can work remote. And you can't rely on people checking their emails. You need to have a software that people can log into and see what their assignments are, or see what they have in their queue to watch for. You can't make sending a document through an email, because there's be so many different emails. You can't rely on people knowing which the latest email is to search for a document. So having a software system is, I think, vital in this day and age.
Okay. And then are you got the documents and document control. You talked about moving to training management. Are you looking to train people on the documents that are in there and then track that? And you talk about, making sure that they've done their assignments, things like that.
Yeah, that was the biggest goal, or one of the biggest reasons we wanted to implement that training management module. It did take us a year before we discovered, well, I knew we needed it about 6 months ago. And then I thought, we need to be able to, without a supervisor writing it on a piece of paper, track who's been trained on these work instructions, who's been trained on these procedures, right? So that was the big push on getting that training management module up and running, so we could have that history of who's been trained on what, and was it effective? Are they being able to do their job? Do we have confidence that they know what they're doing?
Nice. And then in terms of the value you've seen so far, how do you talk about that? How do you think about in terms of, I don't know if it's I don't know, we talked a little bit about ROI, but more in terms of just streamlining operations, saving time. Where have you seen the biggest returns in that regard?
So I feel the biggest area has been when we implemented that nonconformance module.
Okay.
So back last year, last year we were doing nonconformances on a piece of paper. So you had an inspector typing it in a Word document, what the nonconformance was, writing it out time after time, all the same information. It would get sent to our administrator, and he would send it out for signature via email. And it was just taking a long time to get that product moved through the system to get everyone's buy-off. So we decided we need to implement that nonconformance module. So we took the out of box, customized it a little bit. And the biggest things were just adding a couple fields that we felt down the road we'd want to have some historical information for product trends, stuff like that. It was pretty minor, the customization of the actual application that we did, but we can get a product moved through quality within hours if we need to have it on the production floor that afternoon. So that has been one of the biggest streamlines that we've done. Another has been it's taken the guesswork out of nonconformances, is we streamlined how the routing works. So if anyone knows anything about ETQ, you have phases and you can assign certain people certain phases. So we programmed it that they don't have any options of who gets sent certain phases. It just goes to that same person for that specific disposition. It took the guesswork out of it for people. They just have to hit a button and not be like, well, who do I send this one to? So that's been really helpful for people for the ease of sending them on for signature and approval.
All right, great. So we have a lot of people who are on this call right now, and we're starting to get a few questions in, and we appreciate that. You know, remind everybody to use the Q&A button on the Zoom toolbar. Before we get to questions, Dirk, we can put up the poll question.
Yeah, let's put up the poll question. And actually, at the same time I do this, I've got a question for Anna here, and if everybody will just respond to that poll question there. So you're obviously retail firm. How do you get voice of the customer feedback, whether it's complaints or positive feedback, back into your QMS? Now, I'm thinking not only from end users, the people who actually lay down in your mattresses, but maybe even your brick and mortar stores, things going on in the stores, or your third party distributors, mattress firms. How does that work its way back into what you do? So
we don't particularly use ETQ for that process of that feedback. We have a different software that customer service uses, but there's also, they can call customer service. They can put out things on our website, the feedback, if they have feedback. And that gets fed back into, I think it's just customer service, and then quality and customer service work together to analyze that data to determine trends. And if we have an issue with a mattress, we need to figure it out, right? So we work closely with customer service in that area.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you. So let's see. It looks like most people have kind of answered the question there. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I will share the results with everybody there.
It's pretty even. Look at that.
Look at that.
So appreciate everybody participating, but it looks like the pain is spread across all these different areas. I don't know, does that kind of mirror what you've seen, Anna, in terms of where the different pain points are within Purple?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why we implemented the ones that we implemented, and we're working on change management next. We kind of decided that document control was obvious, and then CAPA would have been easy to take out of the box and automate. And then it kind of does go like, nonconformances and then training, and we have found a huge pain point in change management, so that's why we're doing it next.
Okay. All right, thank you everybody for answering the poll. I will go to the questions. We've gotten a bunch of questions in now, and the first one is from Art, and he wanted to know how you're driving adoption of the QMS.
Yeah, so it's little by little. There's kind of two ways. As Purple grows and various departments have needs, they will reach out, or I'll be involved in discussions, and we'll try to determine together if ETQ has a solution for them. If they have an application that will work to help with a pain point that they're having. That's kind of how I talked about that application for the records for engineering started. It was pretty casual conversation. They have all these records on someone's desktop or scattered spots in SharePoint. And I said, I can customize something for you in ETQ. They can just all be housed there. We can categorize them a certain way. We have all these different options, the types, categories. And so I took a real pain point for them, and it didn't take me took me a couple hours really. It wasn't a hard customization to do, and now they're loving it. So it was really something easy for me that made a huge impact on their department.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then a question from Kirk, and he wants to know, is Purple ISO 9001 certified?
We are not. We are driving. It's hopefully in the future soon.
Okay.
That would be my preference, but no, we're not at the moment.
Okay. And then there's a question here from, I apologize for the person's name, Aniti, and I'm interpreting a little bit what they're asking, but has the QMS helped given the current pandemic situation now with the Delta variant and everything that's going on?
I don't know that we have seen a huge, I'm trying to think of the right word. Because of COVID, we haven't really seen it. We've seen a lack of being able to get a product just like every other company out there, right? Because of COVID. But I think having the software has helped just because people can work remotely and they don't have to be in the office to be able to sign off things. That might be one of the great things about having it. So people can sign off and approve things without an actual signature. It's just all in the software. So
okay.
Maybe hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, yeah. And then Casimir had asked, how do you ensure operators review instructions before performing their job?
That is probably a really great. I don't know that I know the answer. We have training, or we have training plans for, like, say, our inspectors, and they have to complete all of the trainings before they're allowed access to be able to inspect product or write up product. So that's a way that we ensure that they have been trained, and we have the tests. We have tests in each training. They have to pass the tests in the training management module. So that's a way to ensure that they know what they're doing before we kind of turn over the keys to them. So.
Okay, and that also, there was another question as I scrolled through here from Susanna that basically was the same, making sure that employee was trained on the training management application first.
Yeah, so yeah, day one, they get all these the trainings assigned to them. And before they are allowed to do any work on the line or any work inspecting product, they have to complete all of the trainings, which probably would take a couple of days. We don't have, the tests aren't super hard, and we don't, but yeah, that's the first thing they have to do. Okay.
And in your workflow, real simple question here from Justin, what do you do if the approver's out on vacation? How do you handle that?
We try to get people to set up that delegation module or application so they can delegate things to their coworker, or a quality manager can delegate to their quality engineer. But yeah, using that delegation application is key when people are out on vacation, so things don't get stalled out.
Okay. From Steve, do you do any sort of statistical analysis to look for trends?
I personally don't. There are departments like supplier quality, coworkers that do, and they'll pull information from ETQ. We also work on connection profiles to pull some of the data direct into what our ODBC Snowflake that we use. So there are other employees, my peers, that do that analysis. I'm not in charge of that. So.
Okay. And you just mentioned suppliers and supply chain. Do you have plans to expand into supply chain with ETQ at some point in the future? That Justin wanted to know if you did anything with supply chain.
So we keep a list of suppliers in ETQ, and we like their approval and the different locations that they have. We give certain suppliers the access to document control. We want to start using the PPAP module and deviation application to go down that route also, to be able to track those. So yes, there are plans to enhance that side of it a little bit more next year.
Okay, great. And Alia wanted to know if you store any changes, so if you go in and make a change to a document, do you store that with the document so you can track historical changes to what you've done?
So yes, I guess we have a revision history in ETQ in the document control. So there's every time it's changed, people have to put in what was changed from the old document to the new document. And then there's the archive application. So all archived documents are in there. So I can go back to if we're on Rev E, I can go back to A, B, C, and D and look at exactly what was changed if I need to. So there is that option.
Okay, great. And let me ask the follow-on question. In terms of reviewing documents, how does that workflow work with Purple?
So anyone can originate a document. Well, okay, so not anyone. We do have most people can originate a document, and then we assign usually the process owner or department head as the owner of the document. And then there's reviewers, and it's usually cross-functional list of reviewers of that, whoever touches that document. If it's a document that purchasing needs to buy off on, we make sure that someone in purchasing, the manager or a lead buyer, signs off on that document so they know it's out there. So that's something that me and my team, we make sure that the reviewer list is pretty robust so that everyone knows that that document is out there and they sign off on it and give their okay.
All right, great. I'm going to take the next one from Holly. She wanted to know if ETQ was 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, which is for life science compliance, and we definitely are. So the answer, Holly, is yes. And then I got one here from Ross. We may have touched on this a little bit, but what is your best advice on getting buy-in from team members for the entirety of the QMS, especially when bringing about changes?
Sometimes it's hard. People don't like change. You gotta have someone, you just, it's a little bit of politicking. You have to be, and then they just show them the benefits, the way that it can benefit their job and make their job easier. I found has been the best way for people to take on change and to accept change. If I can show you that what I'm gonna propose to you is gonna make your job easier, then it seems like a pretty no-brainer, a good no-brainer that they're gonna be okay with the change. But sometimes it is difficult. We've had some challenges, certain departments not wanting to make change, but we're getting there.
Okay. And I've got two questions here on document control. First one from Steve. Are controlled documents such as work instructions available for viewing to untrained personnel? And if so, how do you control them from using it without signing off on it? It's really a question about how to get the new document version up and running when all users are not signed off on it.
So yeah, you can hide, there are things in ETQ you can do so that only certain people have access to certain documents. Yeah, but for the most part, all employees have access to work instructions. So anyone could come in and see all of the documents that quality uses to be able to inspect product. I would say that but your company wouldn't have to do that. You could limit those to people who are actually trained. So ETQ has those things, options available when you're customizing it to be able to narrow that down.
Okay. I would guess it would make sense that you'd want that information as broadly known as possible.
I would think so, in my opinion. And then you can have, if they're writing a nonconformance and they've not been trained, you can take away their access to be able to do that in ETQ, right? I control what access levels they have so that we only have trained people doing the things that they are supposed to be doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other document control question, or document question from Cindy, is how do you handle your documents? Are they an attachment or in the document body? Also, when you need to print the document, how do you go about that?
So they're in the document body, everything is as a PDF. And we just have it in our top level procedure that anything printed is a uncontrolled copy. So people know if it's printed, it's not controlled, and that but we do allow printing. I think sometimes it's needed. Mm-hmm. Some documents it's needed to printed. They're just uncontrolled. And ATQ has an option that you can put a watermark on the document if you wish to do that. That says like uncontrolled, or if printed uncontrolled, something like that. There's that option out there.
Okay. I will say to Greg that we will follow up with you on answering your question. And that's all we have at the moment. So at this point, I know we're about 45 minutes in, and I think that's great. We've really covered a lot of ground here. Anna, I would like to thank you for taking the time today to join us on this webinar. And
You're welcome.
yeah, and I'll turn it back to Dirk.
Hey, thanks. But David, actually, I got a question. I'm assuming this is probably more for you. It's a question that normally comes up, and I didn't see it come up this time, but I think it's worth discussing a little bit, is just security. With more and more people working from home and working remotely, you know, sensitive information, obviously, that's being shared on the ETQ servers. Just kind of inform us a little bit how the security works for ETQ.
So we operate in the cloud, as you know, and we're hosted in AWS, Amazon Web Services. So we leverage their security. We have a lot of, you know, what you'd expect from the security technologies built into the software and built into the environment. And beyond that, we then have security on individual access, whether that's an individual, whether that is by role or even by location. So if you're in a particular location, you may only see documents that are pertinent to that location, even if you have broader access in general. So we try to control access from outside in, so you don't even get to the system if you're not allowed to be there. And then even when you're in, you only get to see what you're allowed to see, and it really is context sensitive, so you're only allowed to see what you're supposed to see when you're supposed to see it.
Okay. All right. Thanks for answering that.
Sure.
So Anna and David, yeah, that is the end of our questions here for now. If we didn't get to, if some questions come in after we close this down, don't worry, I will forward those on to the folks at ETQ or to Anna over there at Purple. So thanks guys for the presentation today, appreciate it. And thanks to all of you as well for joining us today. You will be receiving an email with a link to a recording of this webinar from Quality Digest. Keep your eyes open for that email. You may also be getting some further information from ETQ as well. So just keep your eyes open for all that. So from all of us here at Quality Digest and ETQ, have a great day. And we will see you at the next webinar. So long.
Thank you.